Hello and welcome back to my Devlog series. I'm Felix and I continued working on my game. Even though the last few months were pretty busy, I made some progress I want to show you. My main goal was, and still is, to get the game to a playable state. That means that at least the basic game cycle of planting crops, harvesting them, and selling them has to be in place. One big piece of this is the transition from one day to another. I might have gotten a bit carried away here, but I really like the result, so let me show you. So here we are in Unity, and I want to quickly jump into it and show you what this transition from day to day now looks like. It's early in the morning right now, but we don't care and we're gonna go to bed anyway. The house interior, as you can see, is still the old one. I still need to change it. But if we go to bed, it takes us to this nice menu screen that lists the date up on top of the last day. And I plan to add some statistics over here, such as money spent, money earned, or skill progress. Right now I want you to focus on this planet you can see down here, because I did not draw this, at least not by hand. It is a shader and it procedurally generates this spinning planet. I think it's very cool, and the big advantage of this is that it scales nicely to any screen size. I'm still not too sure about the stars, but I really like how the planet has turned out. This button down here, this one takes us to the next day or next morning, and it is kind of the first proper button in the game because it has a mouse over effect. You can see that the text changes color, and if I press it down, you will see that it actually gives you visual feedback and presses down. And that's it right now. So you can see we've got a nice little smooth transition, and I will have to expand on that in the coming weeks. Every video I want to go into some technical detail, and the planet shader is the perfect topic for this. What you see here looks fairly complex, but it can be broken down into several easy steps. Okay, and welcome to my TED Talk. So, what do you really need to write a shader like that? It's actually not that much. There are two main things you need to know. First, how do you compute an intersection between a sphere and a line in 3D space? It's not very difficult, you can just look it up online, there are a lot of tutorials. Second, you need a noise function that converts a three-dimensional position into a noise value ranging preferably from -1 to 1. Here you can see a sphere representing the planet and a camera looking at it. So by calculating the intersection of the line or ray leaving the camera and the sphere, you know whether the current pixel is actually part of the planet or whether you look to the sides of the planet. If you hit the planet, you can just use your noise function to get some noise and interpret it as either water or land. So you could, for example, simply say everything below 0 is water, everything above 0 is land. The clouds around the planet are simply another slightly bigger sphere. So you know that because you are looking from outside the planet, that you will always hit the outer spheres, meaning the clouds first. So you test against that. And if you hit it, you know that there might be some clouds. So you go into your noise function next, and you have some cutoff that says, okay, maybe everything below 0 is no cloud and everything above 0 is a cloud. The interesting part happens if it is no cloud there, because then you simply test against the inner sphere and see if you hit that one, and if you hit it, it's the same procedure as before for the planet. Last little touch is the shadows below the clouds. If you have hit the planet surface, you then construct a secondary line or ray that goes through the planet surface intersection point and the center of the planet, and you cast that ray from outside towards the planet center, and you test whether it actually hits the clouds. And if it does hit the clouds, then you just make the planet surface darker. So that's the basics of this shader. From here on out you could expand it by making the planet spin like I did, or adding some stars, or maybe you've got an even better idea. You just simply need to do it step by step. I also completely overhauled the farm map using the new tiles from the colony map I showed in a previous video. Additionally, I created this container home that the player will start the game with. The map still needs a lot of work, but this overhaul was definitely a step in the right direction. A few weeks ago I also finally did something that I should have done a lot sooner. I created a game design document. I just sat down and wrote down as much about the game and what it is supposed to be as I could. The design document is still not complete, but it has given me some more direction in development and helped me to identify some issues early. For example, I initially planned to have no seasons. This is in line with the idea to make this game as simple to develop as possible, but it introduces problems for the gameplay. If there are no seasons, all of the complexity of planning what you planned over the season is lost. Also, all of the year plays the same. And these are only some of the problems. Next, I thought about the planet having storms that occur roughly every 30 days and destroy all crops on the fields. This would create some complexity in planning your farming and could have been interesting, but it has at least two problems. It does not change that the entire year plays the same, and also if the storms are slightly random, they can surprise the player, and I would guess that it is very frustrating to lose your entire harvest to a random event. The obvious solution is the one I thought about last. Just have two seasons. By only having summer and winter, I only need two versions of all the outdoor tiles and still add a lot of variety to gameplay. Because nothing grows in winter, the gameplay will be very different from summer, and I think that it will make the game a lot more fun in the long run. If you want to create games yourself, I recommend writing down at least a few things. First, write down your elevator pitch. Just imagine describing your game to somebody who has never seen it, and limit yourself to 3 or 4 sentences. Second, identify the primary game loop. What is it that the player is mainly doing over and over again when they play your game? This is largely determining whether the game is fun and for how long it is fun. Third, set some design principles. These could be general guidelines defining how you work with your game, or what the final game is supposed to be like. For example, for this project I want to prioritize simplicity as much as possible when making design decisions in order to have a chance at finishing the game. Another principle I have is that the game should not allow the player to set up infinitely producing machinery. If you have these things, you can consult them every time you make a big decision, and it really helps. I have not captured very much development footage for this episode, but I have one little treat for you. A pixel art time-lapse. This week I began to work on a new crop from the game, and I started with the item sprite. This is a beet or sugar beet. I still need to create the plant and its growth stages, but soon I will add it to the game and also expand on the production aspects of the game. If you are curious about how long this icon took me, it took 48 minutes. Yes, 48. Art is probably still my weakest skill, and it takes me crazy amounts of time to create something I'm happy with. I do feel that I improve, but it is slow. So please tell me how you like this icon. My next goal is to implement shipping. Once you can ship products, I can finish up the nightly statistics menu, and I'm one step closer to a playable version. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe and you won't miss my next video. I'm Felix, and I'll be back with another video soon. Bye.